Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Napoleon, and today we're back with another Enlisted News Weekly in which we cover the Enlisted News of the week. And this week we have a lot of new stuff, and I'm very happy for the new stuff. We have the new huge effects update, and most importantly, probably, that the one that we have all been waiting for, the Pacific campaign is finally here. But without further ado, this video has been made possible for your friends at Discord, meaning that if you haven't liked, subscribed, or joined the Discord, I highly suggest that you do. And let's finally get started with this Enlisted News of the week. So the first thing that we have up is the huge effects update, and this time we're just doing a lot of new updates, like new explosion effects, splinter effects, trail of dust effects that follows your tanks as it passes by, new fire effects, new explosion effects, and new effects for tanks and the damage of the bullets. All very interesting. As a matter of fact, I'm just gonna show you some of the videos that they've posted about the new effects, which are really cool. I really like the new effects. Bullets look more like they're actually bullets and not just like a few little rounds here and there, but it looks very good. And also the engines also sound pretty good. Also, the sounds of the engines and tracks are also going to be louder, and other stuff like that, which are really good. I really like this new effects update. But that said, let's move on to the main show now we have for today, which is the Pacific. The final thing that we have for today is the new Pacific Front that is going to be released from I don't know when, but it is in development right now, so that's very good. It's time to announce the new main event for the upcoming major update. Enlisted will be launching the long-awaited Pacific event. The new theater will have combat options and new participant. The Japanese Imperial Army awaits you, as well as unique weapons, equipment, and game mechanics created for them, and many other significant improvements to the game that will make this battlefield a truly memorable experience. A participation without restriction. This is what I've been waiting for. This is what people have been suggesting, and this is basically that the Pacific event will be available to all enlisted players without restrictions. Progressions in the campaign will be the same as Normandy, Tunisia, Berlin, and Moscow. So basically nothing like the Stalingrad thing that we have, which is very good. I really, yes, it's really good. I'm out of words to say how good they made this one up. That said, the most loyal fans of the Battle of the Pacific will be able to stand out with the helpful bonuses. These include the Special Landing Force Pack, which include exclusive content, 4 premium squads, and bonuses that cannot be earned any other way. These include the Special Landing Forces, which has premium reinforcements, which are 2 bonus squads, such as the Assaulters and the Amphibious Tanks. These squads are only available for the Special Landing Forces pack, so you actually can't buy them with gold. Next, we have well-trained soldiers. Soldiers you unlock in the campaign, and hired soldiers are already issued well-trained and purchased weapons and equipment are upgraded. The maximum level is 1 step away for all these soldiers. And finally, you have the nickname, in which you literally get a nickname decorator, so that's pretty interesting. And speaking of the new squads, we are gonna have a new squad, which is the Amphibious Tanks. The Special Landing Force includes 4 whopping squads, a Assaulter squad with unique weapons that help you get quickly used to the new front, and new Amphibious Tanks will definitely come in handy regarding the large number of water obstacles in the Pacific battle. For the Japanese, we have the Gairitsu Special Landing Force with experienced army paratroopers, so these are Japanese Imperial paratroopers. It was created to deal with allied attacks on Japanese islands and successfully fought in various operations. After that, we have the 2nd U.S. Marine Raider Battalion, and this Raider Battalion was formed from experienced soldiers who were supplied with the best equipment for the Marines. They took part in the Guadalcanal campaign and won a major battle at the Battle of the Edson Ridge. And for both of these squads, they're going to be equipped with some interesting weapons. These include the Type 1 SMG. This is an amazingly compact and lethal little guy SMG that I recently covered, just funny enough, on my Japanese Gold Order weapons, and these assaulters have it all. Impressive damage, and an excellent rate of fire with 50 round magazine, which is once again very good. Next we have the Thompson M1928 USMC, and this is a impetuous and lethal submachine gun used extensively by US Marines in the Pacific. It was easy to control thanks to its full-size foregrip. And yeah, after that we have the Amphibious Tanks, which are the Kachi for the Japanese. It has a 47mm cannon. Taking into account that the pontoons of the tanks is enormous, you will be able to fit in the hangar, and the crew size is similarly immense at 7, which provides amazing survivability. And if you decide to leave the tank and just go using them as Marines, then it should be pretty good. After that, we have the LVTA-1. This is the American Amphibious Tank. The Americans approach the amphibious tanks with less original. High mounted turret allows the tank to fire without exposing the vulnerable holes to the enemy. A high rapid 37mm gun helps to keep any threat at bay. Although its caliber is similar to that of the Kachi, the weight to power ratio of this tank is twice as high, which greatly increases mobility, whereas the Kachi is mainly focused on the armor, which is seriously what it was historically meant. But that said, let's move order to the pre-order bonuses. The other pre-order bonuses include an in-game portrait, a samurai mask tank decorator, and a camouflage for your amphibious tanks. These are the Y7 Jaws and the Sakura, which stand out. Also, another interesting thing is that the portraits and decorators will be available immediately after the pack, and within the first 14 days of the update release, you can purchase this pre-order bonus, the Special Landing Force pack, which is pretty interesting. Do I suggest that you get it? Yes, I suggest that you get it. This is one of the only packs that I suggest you get, not only because it's unique, but it's also because it's something new. It's not like the amphibious tanks are going to be very, very interesting, so I really highly suggest that you get it, but for those free-to-play players and for those who are poor like me, then you don't really have anything. So after that, we have the new confrontation, which is the Pacific, and the Pacific Front is the site of fierce battles between the USA and the Japanese. This means Enlisted will feature a new nation with its own unique squads, weapons, and vehicles. And the first thing within this well image, you can see a Japanese soldier holding a Type 11 LMG, a Type 11 SMG with the bayonet, which is really good. Our soldiers are finally getting bayonets, so that's very, very, very good. After that, I have something bad to tell you, and the fact that in this campaign we're gonna have some semi-automatic rifles. Since you can see the middle soldier for the on the Japanese side, you can see him holding a Hiei rifle, which is a recently covered rifle that I've been talking about, which is basically a Japanese copy and improvement of the Pedersen rifle, which is really, really, really good. After that, we have the Americans, which seems to look like they have the bolt action rifles, the Johnson's 1941 LMG, and the Owens gun. But speaking of those weapons, we have the Type 100 SMG. This is a Japanese famous mass-produced SMG, which is proven and reliable. It can withstand the ruthless climate and dignity. By the time of Guadalcanal, the Type 100 SMG was starting to be given out slowly but surely, and from the looks of it, I'm pretty sure this is the earlier version of the Type 100 SMG. After that, we have the Owens guns. This is an Australian submachine gun with a very high rate of fire, and its recoil is easily controlled due to the fortunate forward grip. And an interesting thing about the Owens gun is that the Owens gun was way more reliable than the Thompson, considering that the Thompson in the Pacific will constantly jam, so the Owens gun was actually a better choice for the Marines on the ground. Next, we have the LMGs, and we have the Type 11 LMG. This is the first manual machine gun of the Imperial Japanese Army, distinguished by its original bunker-fed system, which reduces the weight of its ammunition and simplified reloading. And you can see it on the left side of this weapon, and this sight was actually quite interesting considering the fact that I think it's kind of unique, but these are basically stripper clips loaded into the ammunition box, and then after that it can be fired. For the Americans, we have something different, and that is the M1941 Johnson LMG, and this machine gun is very adaptable to switch not only between firing modes, between two different firing rates, but even in the normal firing mode, the 1941 is noticeably faster than its predecessor. Now, before we move on to the next one, I really hope that they don't do anything crazy with the LMGs, since in my opinion, Japan really suffers from SMGs, and since the Americans are getting Thompsons, and apparently from what it looks like, better Thompsons, I highly suggest that the Japanese don't get, I highly suggest that Enlisted doesn't straight outright debuff the LMGs, considering the fact that, like Stalingrad, the SMG sways too much, and yeah, just not a good idea. So I really hope that the LMGs are basically the same to all the other campaigns except for Stalingrad. So yeah, that's that. And finally, we have the two amazing things, and those are the vehicles. For the Japanese, we have the A6M2. This is the Zero, Mod 11. This legendary raison, even in its earlier modification, it features amazing maneuverability, surpassing most of the opponents in the sky, and although much competent flying characteristics, its ammunition and armament is decent. And when I first saw this, I was pretty interested, considering that the Japanese plane, the Zero, has a bomb. From what it looks like, it's supposed to be a 50-kilogram bomb, which is, let's be honest, it's enough. And from my guess, and for stability issues, I hope it's a 2 50-kilogram bombs, and from the looks of it, it actually is. So yeah, like I said, the Japanese are going to have bombs on their planes, so I'm assuming that all planes are going to have bombs, which are going to be interesting. After that is probably the most interesting thing, and that is the M13 MG-MC. This is a self-propelled anti-aircraft gun, also arriving enlisted. Not only powerful, but in means of anti-aircraft guns, but nightmare for the enemy infantry. Specifically on this platform are two 12.7 Browning machine guns. An impressive density of fire, and the gunner is not so easily to knock out either behind a block of armor. This two 12.7 Browning machine guns are very deadly against infantry, and most importantly against planes, which, let's be honest, I believe it's more devastating against infantry. That is, if you can get the depression, which from the looks of it, yeah, that's gonna be a slightly bigger issue. But that said, really interesting stuff. I'm pretty sure that since it says that anti-aircraft guns, self-propelled anti-aircraft guns, or SPAA, are going to be arriving enlisted, I'm going to assume that the Japanese are going to have their own SPAA, and from the looks of it, and from my suggestions, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the TASA, Japanese self-propelled anti-aircraft guns, which is actually also in War Thunder. It basically has a single 20mm autocannon compared to the two Browning machine guns on the M13, which is very interesting, and it's more tank-like, well, although it doesn't have an open top. But that said, those are my suggestions, and apparently what we have are anti-aircraft guns. Let's move on to Banzai, and the Pacific is steeped not only with the scent of salty seawater, but in the spirit of heroism. This is the campaign Enlisted to have berserker attack mechanics that will appear, during which your soldiers work out all their strength and unleash it with a rush with a cold weapon in their hands. Basically a Banzai attack. Now, the first thing that I realized is that this guy is a medic. Yes. This guy is a medic. You can see from the medic patches on the helmet and from the armband, which is pretty interesting. And this guy appears to be a assaulter, and from the looks of it, this guy, yes, it appears that katanas will be given out to every one of your soldiers, so that's good. After that, we have the Japanese Faner, and this is, most of you recognize this Japanese consumative anti-tank mine from its appearance. This is the punji stick with the principle of a simple get close to the tank and hit it, and even in this case there are tricks to learn of how to use this mine at a distance from the armor to have a chance to survive after an explosion to fight even longer for the Emperor. Now this is quite interesting considering the fact that all you have to do historically was to touch the thing and boom goes the tank. Albeit the person who is using the punji stick, you are going to probably die. After that we have the phosphorus grenades, which is kind of interesting considering that the fact that phosphorus is a poison gas now. So, war crimes, considering that the fact that we have medics and now phosphorus gas, I'm not going to say much, but throw one into the enemy's cover, and after that the explosion will not be swallowed by fire, but the dense toxic gas. That will be definitely to blow them out of cover. Otherwise, they'll run the risk of dying from the fumes, which, once again, is the definition of a poison gas. Experienced strategists can also use the cloud of smokes as improvised camouflage on the battlefield. Just don't take any deep breaths, which, okay. I'm pretty sure that once you're within the smoke or smoke area, you're gonna take some health damage, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. I haven't tried them out yet, but we should be trying them out soon. Islands and Ocean. The Pacific launches with several major locations with a feature of multitude of missions of a variety of game modes, from large-scale attacks for the Battle of Guadalcanal, where the U.S. Army clashes in one key battles of the war in the skies, and on land and at sea, to the bloody Battle of the Jutuva Island, which are home to many of the established Japanese military bases. While the countdown of the Pacific is on, we have time to tell you about the other new mechanics, new Pacific levels, and news for our other enlisted campaigns, which I'm pretty sure is going to be here. Now, looking at the maps for the new maps, they're pretty cool. I would say that it's very good looking. A lot of bases here and there, so we are going to get some cover. And from what it looks like, yeah, we are going to get some cover, although the feel of the Pacific is still going to be there. That said, you're going to have a lot of open spaces, and yeah, it's the buildings are not going to be as dense as Stalingrad, but they're also pretty good. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Speaking of the Tuluva Islands, the Tuluva Island was a land campaign in the Pacific Campaign, which once again between the U.S. Marine Corps and the Japanese Army, which took place on August 1942 from the 7th to 9th, and And it took place around the Solomon Islands and around during the initial Allied landings on Guadalcanal. So it does actually make sense for them to add it there. One big thing that I haven't been getting from the pictures is Henderson Field, which does mean that it should be here, but it isn't, considering the fact that it's Guadalcanal. But that said, we do have a lot of hay houses, apparently, and wooden houses, so it's going to be essentially Moscow 2.0, in which you can just shoot through the buildings, once again. Except for the well-off buildings, in which they're made apparently from what it looks like out of brick and or stone, but expect every other building to be essentially a joke. Like, seriously, I would not be surprised if one tank shell just destroys the entire building, considering the fact that, yeah, that's actually what they were historically able to do. From what we also look like, it's gonna be a lot of water, so you actually can use amphibious tanks very well, but that said, a very, very good looking maps. My guess is that it's going to be, once again, amphibious landing on the beaches, storm on the beaches, which, let's be honest, historically it wasn't really used, because at Guadalcanal, the Japanese, when the US Marine Corps landed, the Japanese were actually quite surprised. So yeah, interesting. But that said, this is all for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Discord. I'm very, very, very hyped up for the Pacific. What do you guys think about the Pacific? Comment in this video down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Now, before you leave, I would like to thank you very much for watching this video. I will be honored if you could like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, more videos are coming out, so it is a good idea to click on that notification button. Anyways, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.